All right, so now we've looked at all these, how to import various data extensions into Excel using PowerQuery editor. And the importance of using PowerQuery editor was covered here, right? To save our time, increase our data readability, and unlock insight by mastering this PowerQuery. So the PowerQuery here, it enables us to create advanced data transformation and cleaning capability. So anytime now, what it helps us to do after you even reshaped and transform your data, it helps you to also create reusable data models, right? At any point in time, unlike the Excel that you only do one thing at a time, right? So PowerQuery is for the babas in analytics and data science. And now the query will help you create connections with your data source, and you can always update anything in your query editor, and it will take effect in your analysis or in any advanced dashboard or data visualization you've generated. And we are going to explore this in depth in Power BI. So please watch this, cover this before we start the Power BI, because it is very important, right? So now the data types, if you see text like this, it is called string. This is a string. You see numbers like this, it's int data type, right? So let's take note of that with the data types. So if you see decimals, it is called float, right? If you see this, you see decimals with whole numbers, float. It is called float. This is int, sorry, because this is positive and negative integers, right? On just like the B. So the density is an int data type. Land area is an int data type. And you see these negative numbers as negative and positive still as int. And you see decimals over here, right, as float, right? Boolean is true or false, and string is text over here. So now let's walk into how to use the Power Query editor directly, right? So we are going to use a new Excel sheet. This is clean one. So we are going to start with any of the data. So now that we can import, I'm going to load from the web, right? Because that is, so we are going to the web to load our data. So over here, we are going to start using the Power Query editor. So now I have my link. Oh no, I have my link over here. So I'll come and copy my link, come to my Excel, and paste my link over here. Then my Excel over here, I click on OK. So as it loads, you wait small, you wait for it. We are going to use the Power Query editor direct to transform and clean our data, right? So now we've seen how to use multiple tables in just one Excel, or import multiple data from various sources, being it web, being it PDF, being it text, being it CSV, into one single Excel sheet and work with them using Power Query editor, right? Power Query. So now we are going to look at the editor directly. So over here, you don't load it, right? You come to transform. If your laptop is not giving the transform button, it will give you edit, right? Load, edit, cancel. So click on load. Click on transform, please, sorry. Click on transform. Oh, is it this one? No, this. You click on transform. All right, so the transform will not load the data into your Excel, right? It is going to give you the query editor first. And now, these are some of the things we are going to do. Whenever you open your query editor and you want to refresh, right, you come here and you refresh all. Whenever the data is updated, maybe I did analysis this week, and from July, September, the 2024 population has been added to the 2023 population, right? Either China are taking India, or India is taking this seat as the leading country right, it will be updated. So you come here to do that, refresh. Now choose column. What we use this to do is to indicate the column you want to choose. The remove column over here, maybe I want to remove this column. I'll come here because now this is how to highlight a column. Click on the first one like this. You click on it once, it will highlight the entire column, right? If you want to select one cell, you just click on the cell. If you want to highlight the entire column, this you can drag. So just come to the header and click on it and everything will be selected for you. So now I want to remove this column. You can right click and it will give you this, and you can click on remove column, right? So you can also try explore more. I can also use this one to remove the column. So this one is removing columns. So you indicate the columns you want to remove. Maybe I want to remove these two columns, right? So I click on the other one, I click on control and I select 3 of them. So I want to remove these columns. I come here and remove columns, right? So now they are gone. So I want to bring it back. If I want to bring it back, I'll come to this field, right? So if I come to this field, just click on the right and this mark over here, remove mark over here, right? The column that I have removed, everything will come back, right? Everything will come back to its original position. But I want to remove just one column over here, right? So that's it. So if you want to keep the rows, if you want to remove row over here too, maybe I want to remove this row, right? If I want to remove maybe India, China, United States from my data, I'll just come here, remove rows. I'll say top rows, right? So the number of rows I want to remove will come, right? So I want to remove the first 3 countries from it. Maybe they are not necessary. I don't need them. So I'll just click yes. And now my first 3, United States, China, US, are all gone, right? And it's starting from Indonesia. Only when I don't need those columns, right? So using normal Excel, you are going to suffer. So from today, you are going to use PowerQuery editor to do any analysis in Excel. So over here, that's how we use it to do. And if I want to split column over here, now let me look at one that I can use this split to do best. Okay, so over here, the yearly change, right? I want to remove this percentages from the year changes, right? So I just highlight everything. I have a way of deleting that over here, right? But I just want to split and delete this one as a beginner, right? So I'll come to split columns over here, and always the split column, we want to split it using a delimiter, right? So this delimiter will be the sign we want to use to split. So if I use this full stop as a delimiter, it is going to separate the 0 from the 8.1 percentages, right? But in this case, I want to split using this sign, right? So using this sign, I'll just click OK, right? And it's gone, right? So because I splitted using that sign, meaning I want to remove that sign from the data, but I don't want to see it again. It will create an empty sheet as a beginner, right? Then I remove this column completely. So I have what I need over here, right? So I can say yearly changes, then I add my percentage symbol over here. So I can indicate that, okay, this changes is taking effect with percentages, right, over here. Now, that this is group by, we will use this function in the advanced option, right? In the advanced, so this is how you can go through your data, right? Over here, now, if I want to add the percentages here, if I want to remove it here, I come here again and I come to split, and I'll come to split by delimiter. Then I want to use this. So over here, I want to use a custom, right? Because the custom means I want to indicate the delimiter you should use to separate my data, right? So I'll go to custom and I'll say separate using this. percentage. So remove the percentage from my data, right? So it is gone. So I have the percentage over here. But in a case where I want to see something, right, being separated, let me come and use this. I need something over here. There's no date over here. I would have used the date, right? I would have used the date. Because the population, we can't do this over here. But okay, let's imagine the date, the population over here, right? We want to separate everything. Okay, it is good we use date to do this because the population should be intact. So we are going to look at a different thing over here using the query editor. So using the query editor, now you see that this data type is a string that is qualitative, right? And it is in the right data format, ABC string. But look at the population. The population is in figures. It is in quantitative data. But it is showing us here that your data type is in what? A string. So any analysis over here is going to give us issue. So you highlight the entire column, you come to data type, you take it to whole number, right? You take it to whole number. And always your whole numbers must be at your left, right? If it doesn't, then there's an issue. You can see this one is 1.2, meaning it's in a whole, no, it's in a decimal number, right? It is in a decimal number. That's why we see it like 1.2, meaning 0.2. That you see this one, the data type is wrong, right? So let's change the data type. Come to data type over here. So, oh, not decimals, sorry. Not decimals, not decimals, not decimals. So let's change this to a whole number, right? Whole number. Replace, so let's replace it. All right, so it is being replaced. So if you want to see the other part of your data, you use this. And this one, density, you click on it, you change your data, right? You change your data. So we are looking at changing data types, right? So your land area, you change your data type also. You change your data type into whole number. And if your migrant to, you change your data type over here to whole number, right? Your fertility rate, let's see, fertility rates is always in percentages. So let's see over here, you change your fertility rate into percentages, right? And this is giving us huge percentages, 160 point this. So let's keep it at whole numbers and see the fertility rate over here. All right, so it is giving us the fertility rates as 2%, 1%, 2%, right? So over here, the age should be in whole numbers or whole number. So you can see that this data, because we loaded it from the web, it is giving us a wrong data type, and always use a PowerQuery editor to transform, to change all the data types, right? This urban population, it seems to be empty, right? So once it is empty, we don't need it, we remove this column completely, right? So this is word share, which is already in percentages, and this, we remove it from text to the percentage because it is already in percentages, right? Already in percentages. All right. So now, because it's already in percentages, this one is giving us the correct percentage, 17.76%, and this one is correct, right? This one is correct. So if we are done with our word population, then we can close and load, right? We can close and load. We can close and load this. Now it is generating the data into SL, right? We wait as it loads. We are going to import another one and see other ways of manipulating our data or cleaning our data. So now you see our data is clean. So you can close this one over here, right? You can close this one over here. Anytime you need the query editor again, you come to your data and you come to your query connections, right? So your query connection will bring you back your, now we have 18 errors over here. Okay, those with transformed, right? Don't worry, that's those we've transformed. The total transformation we've done, right? So discard, right? You discard over here. So you close it again, right? You close it again. Now we can do any analysis we want to do with this data, right? This is the perfect data we are going to use, right? So let me say, no, we would all transform it together and save it for an analysis, right? Boom. So now, let me save this so we can all do the same. Now I want to save it. So I come to my Power BI, PowerQuery, and I can say this is world population, world population 2024, even though it's not updated though, but 2024. All right, so now I have this one here. Let's transform another one from a CSV, from our CSV file or our Excel file, because usually you are going to be given either a CSV often, right, to transform, because most companies prefer to save their data in a CSV form, right, than Excel. So now the delimiter is comma, and now we transform our data, and this transforming the data will give us the query editor, right? So any data you transform or you want to transform comes with what you need to clean, right? So looking at this is a annual enterprise survey 2021 for financial year provisional size bands, right? So I don't know which company has this, but it looks like a sector annual survey. So over here, the year is in int is fine. The industry, so the industry, this one is giving us this industry code, right? This industry code. So maybe if this industry code is not necessary to my analysis, right? Then this is, so this looking at A column, B column, C column, or whatever. So I can choose to remove this column. I can choose to remove this column. And sometimes when you load a data, this headers will not come correctly, right? You see these headers coming down here. So what you do is you always come here, use first rows as headers, right? So use first rows as headers. So you click on this one, and this one is going to use your first row that over here. I'm coming. Let me show you something over here. When you want to use your first row as headers, maybe the 2021 was here, it didn't import correctly, right? So you want to use your first row as headers, you come here and you use your first row as headers, right? And you can see that your agriculture, whatever, is now the headers of your data, right, or your table. But for this, it's imported correctly, so we want to cancel everything to get our default headers, right? So this is RM size. I don't know what this one means, but I think this one may not be necessary to our data, so I may choose to remove this column, right? And this one over here, I see industry name, and I see the agric and the industry as well. But agric is not an industry. Agric is always a sector. So you can scroll through. You see, mining is not an industry; it's a sector, right? You see, manufacturing is a sector and could be an industry. You see, electricity is a sector. And then now I want to separate the sector from the industry, right? So I'll just highlight everything, come to split column. So now I want to split by, I'm not splitting by number of characters. We are only looking at delimiter, right? As beginners, we will do advanced one in Power BI. So now, is it a space? Not a space. I don't want it to separate with a space. I want to separate with a custom by comma, right? And the comma, so I want to, now if I want to split by each occurrences, you could see that somewhere down, we were getting, okay, so let me show you something over here. So when I split by this, and I split at each occurrence of the comma, it is going to split some gas and others separately, of which I don't need it like that. I just need the sector and the industry, right? So I'll come to, okay, let me do this first as beginners and see. So over here, you can see if I split like this, the manufacturer here didn't have other delimiter, that's why, right? So you could see gas over here, and now it is taking the other side of it away, right? So now what we are going to do is that we will close this. If we only have one delimiter separation, then we can do that, right? But if we don't have one delimiter separation where we have multiple, you can see the comma here, right? So when this separates the electricity and separate the gas, there is no separation for the water and whatever over here. So it is, let's drag it and see the water and waste services over here. So what it's going to do is that it is going to give us this one an error, or we will not be able to see this again. So we are going to tell our separation delimiter that when you separate, yes, we want you to custom for us, right? Using the comma. By the comma, use the leftmost, right? The leftmost delimiter. So in this case, only separate the first left for us, right? Separate the first left for us. And when we drag down, we can see that we see our gas and our water and waste services over here, right? And that is perfect for us. Now we can say this is a sector. This is a sector. This is a sector. And this is what? Industry. This the industry. This is the industry. Right. Now they are all in their correct data types, right? Because they are in words. They are in words. This one too is in words. And if you want to change anything, maybe if you want to change anything here, government funding and whatever, you can do. So now you see this is int, the value here, the variable and the value here. So you have to change this data type to whole numbers. And now the count here is in million. And now if we need this, we can maintain it. If we don't, we can try to transform or we remove, right? And if we think we are done, we can just come to load and close and load our data. You wait as it's create the connection for you, right? So now we have our data nicely, neatly here that we can. So if we want to do any analysis, so now if we want to do any analysis in this, maybe I want to count the number of agricultural, whatever over here using the count if, right? No, I don't want to complicate this. So we are not doing analysis here. So if I want to access this, since my query editor is gone, I'll come to data, come to queries and connections, right? You click on this one. This table is our word population, and this table is our annual enterprise, right? So if I want to change anything, I'll double click on this. It will give me the query editor, right? So over here, if you want to replace values, right? If I want to replace values over here, now I want to, this are great, like this one, government, sales, government funding and grants, right? If I want to change this over here, you can't change it here. Click on it once and come to replace values, right? So maybe I want to replace this by government. So I want to say government. I want to change this to government, bursaries, or maybe government funding once, right? Government funding once, you just click on OK. And this is going to replace this whole thing as government funding for you, right? So if I think maybe this, the now over here, right? The now is giving us now because it's empty, right? And no, in any analysis, we don't use empty cells in analysis. You replace with 0 or now, right? So now can be used for both qualitative side and quantitative side, right? So this one is simply as not a number, right? So not a number, it could be in either quantitative or qualitative, right? So that's why this one is giving us now, and it's good. It not affects our. So now I want to change this waste, water and water service, waste services. I'll come to place value, and maybe I want to replace by the name Richard, right? Richard. I'll click OK, and it will replace that for me, right? So let's look at it. So you can see that wherever you see that name, right, put Richard over there for me, right? So maybe I want to change all the now over here, right? I want to change all the now over here. Be mindful that any replacement you do, it will take effect wherever the now is. Maybe say no industry, no industry, no industry. Say no industry. If you want to change the now to maybe say no industry over here. Let's scroll down and see. You're going to see no industry, no industry, no industry, no industry, no industry. Please, let's learn the PowerQuery very, very, very well, right, to enhance our analytics skills. So now when I come here, we use this to merge queries. We use this to append queries, which is advanced options. So now learn how to change your data types. You use your first rows. If you want to replace values, if you want to split columns, if you want to remove rows, if you want to keep rows, if you want to remove columns, if you want to change, remove one column or whatever. If you want to come back to default, and if you want to play with this place, you learn this, right? If you want to refresh your data from the data source, and if you want to load your data back, right? You wait for it. So now this comes to the end of how to load data first, how to use the transform PowerQuery editor, and some basic functions of the query editor, right? Now let's cancel it. If I need it back, I'll come to data, I'll come to queries, and I'll get it back, right? So goodbye.